Hello everyone, I'm Helen Noble, celebrant of Surrey and founder of Swansong. Welcome to my channel, thank you for joining. I'm here for tips and tricks and all things in between for ceremonies, weddings, funerals, namings, whatever is your rite of passage. This week I'm talking groomsmen, ushers, best man, all the chaps. What do they do? Well, there is plenty out there for all the things and how to plan a wedding. But when it comes to the actual day, who is doing what, where, and when? They are books that do have things, and to be honest, the ones I found are really out of date. So it's one of those things that the new generation are so good at doing. We've all been saying, you do you, you do what works for you, and it's working. You're all embracing it, which is fantastic. The downside is everyone's getting a little bit lost because they're like, okay, well, it's great that we can do us, but a little bit of a framework would be nice. So we're diving into a little bit of a framework. So in a previous video, I've talked about proposal and how to have a successful proposal. And one of those things I said was to keep it stum. Don't tell too many people, because we love the story and we love good news and it will inevitably slip out. Saying that, if you do pick a person, it would tend to be the best man, because they're your best mate or your brother. And it will, if you're being super traditional, the other person that will know is the father of the bride. Again, that's going on a template that is old school, but is tradition, and it still works. You know, it's not a case of asking for their hand in marriage. It's more a case of, do we have your blessing? Because you don't want to go into a family fight. It's just nice to know that the parents of each side have each other's back and you all like each other. And in an ideal world, everyone's super pleased. So let's go with the ideal world scenario. So you're a groom, not quite yet, you're a bloke getting ready to propose to become a fiance. When do you start using your guys, your mates, your team? It tends to be ahead of getting the ring, because it might be you want to bounce ideas off your friend. You know, party for one in your bedroom when you're thinking about it, you can get inside your head too much, and it's actually quite nice to just go have a pint with your friend and go, so I'm thinking of proposing, where are you at? And hopefully your mate will be like, that's super exciting. And they'll perhaps go ring shopping with you. They'll perhaps try and get someone to distract your fiance to be, to get the ring size. It's quite nice to have a partner in crime, so to speak. So that person might be your best man or your brother if you have one. And that best man role, if we stick with that for a bit, is the one that sees the journey through. So if we're sticking again with tradition, it's the one that knows about the proposal beforehand. It's the one that will support and orchestrate the proposal if you need a second pair of hands, like to get a photographer on board to capture the moment, or to book the reservation so it's not in your name, any of those things. So your best man is helping making it happen. So they're there on the day. They are just with you. They are not running around. They are not trying to check that everything is in place. That is the ushers or the groomsmen's. That is not the best man's job. The best man's job is just to be by your side and do whatever you need. If you need a drink, he'll get you a drink. If you, whatever it is you need. Surprisingly enough, I'm never in the groom's room in the morning to know what you guys need. I know what the girls need. Bucks fizz most of the time. And helping with the dress up the back. Saying that, let me know if you have been a best man over and over and over again. You're like, yeah, this comes up a lot. Please let me know. Let me help everyone out there. Let's dive in. Let's explore. It'll be great. If you're a best man out there, you know that whole 3 times bridesmaid, never a bride? Rubbish. Just means you're super good at a wedding. Same with best men. So you've got your best mate, he's talking to you. You might have been ring shopping and help make it happen. You might have been with the actual proposal and help it be a success. You've now got to, in the wedding planning stage, obviously your other half will have their team and they're doing what they do. And part of the wedding, the groom traditionally would be responsible for the transport, the honeymoon, and on the side without the other half. The wedding itself is done as a union because it's for both of you, but it tends to be traditionally transport and honeymoon is what the groom does, and the best man will support with that. So on the day, the best man will have the rings. Again, normally, they're not at the back welcoming everybody. That is the usher's job. The ushers are there to usher. The ushers are there for the guests. They are there to check everyone's in the right seats, let people know where the loos are, welcome. I'll go into that in a bit further. But the best man is not an usher. They are not running around. The best man is on groom duty. They are helping the groom, left, right, and centre, whichever way that your man needs. In the ceremony, they tend to have the rings, as I said. Post-ceremony, it might be they do the first speech. Lovely. Love the speeches. It's my second favourite thing from the ceremony. So much so that quite often I've got really outdoory couples or couples that have got, a great big family home somewhere, and we're all doing it at home and it's all fabulous. And it's not pomp and circumstance, but it's all done very well and we love it. But once the ceremony is over, they're kind of like, oh, we're sort of done with all the formalities. We don't want to be, yes. And I was like, oh no, those speeches are really good. So quite often, I would say almost 50% of the time, we have the speeches within the ceremony. So the minute you walk down the aisle, you are done with the formalities. It's just food and party. And that is becoming more and more popular. I've done a wedding where the bride opened the ceremony with her speech. She got to the top and she basically sort of did what I did. And she was like, my turn, I'm here, all eyes on me, here we go. Thank you so much for coming. And And she did this awesome speech. It was really good fun. And then we got to the vows and the groom was like, before I crack on with my vows, I'm just going to do my speech. So it was really good energy. It was really bantery. And that's the beauty of having a celebrant. But back down to the boys' jobs. So, best man, pretty much covered, got to the speeches, and then he's going to be the one that hopefully will do the airport run with you, because as I said, the groom is in charge of transport, and the best man is just 100% on support of whatever the groom needs. And if the groom needs a taxi to the airport at 7:30 in the morning to take him to Sri Lanka, then you're that man. Obviously, as long as you've burnt off the alcohol and you're not driving over the limit, because the next day is a really fun day. It's like pizzas for breakfast, everyone hanging out going, oh my God, last night was awesome. Yesterday was so nice. So that's your best man. Your best man does whatever the groom needs. Groomsmen. Groomsmen sort of belong to the best man because the best man will know what the groom needs, and the best man can say, the ushers are at the door, welcoming and seating. Can you just go check that, I don't know, the venue's okay, that the celebrant's where she should be, I will be there where I should be, that the groomsmen are there. You might not have any groomsmen. You shouldn't need, if everything's running smoothly, you shouldn't need them. They're just garnish. But it's nice if you got, say, 7 mates and you kind of go, oh, I kind of all want them to wear the same stuff. They're all part of my gang. Fine. Deck them out. It looks awesome and you can never have enough. It's lovely. But if you are going to have groomsmen and you do want them to have a job, they are kind of belong to the best man, because the best man is kind of the one knowing what's going on and what he can see, because he's got to make sure the groom is chilled out and not the one running around and decorating the back of the chairs, and not the one going, oh, did my mum make it? Is she settled in? Is she checked in okay? That's what the groomsmen are there. They're to support the groom's family, the groom's settling in, whatever might need. They're the runners, so to speak. So hopefully that's clear. Groom, ideally, is very zen, getting ready for his wedding. It's all he needs to do. Show up, look handsome, be happy. That's his job. Say I do when I ask you a question. um, Best man, make sure the groom's happy. Groomsman belongs to the best man because the best man will know what the groom needs, and therefore you are running around doing whatever needs to be done to make sure the groom is zen and happy and chilled. Ushers, you kind of belong to me. Or the wedding planner or the venue. You are our runners. So if I can see that we are, say, 2 minutes away from starting, there's a couple of empty seats. This is the theatre manager in me. It's called dressing the house. I do not want the bride or the groom, whoever's walking in, to walk in to empty seats. You do not want to walk in to an aisle that is not full. It's not a positive feeling. It doesn't look good. And it kind of sticks because it'll be in the photographs and you can see, oh, look, who didn't turn up? You don't want that. So the ushers are with me and we are what's called dressing the house. So about 2 minutes before the wedding starts, the mother of the bride's in, she's taken her seat, which means for me, I use the mother of the bride as my green light. I don't think most celebrants do that, but that's the stage manager, theatre manager in me. I like to have cues so that I haven't got someone cheesily at the back going, we're ready for you. I'm like, there is a better, more subtle way of doing that. And for me, it's the mother of the bride. They are last to take their seats. The mother of the bride comes in and I will say, oh, the mother of the bride's here. That lets me know that she's ready. So we're just going to get everyone in the right place. Canny will see there's a couple of empty seats and then the ushers will fill those seats so that the aisle is full and glorious and welcoming. And if there are a couple of empty seats, they are up the back row, bar one, and a couple of seats in. Because if the bride walks into an empty back row, the first thing she's going to see is an empty back row. And the first thing she's going to be is like, oh my God, who didn't come? And then the end just goes, poof. So yes, have some spare seats for latecomers. Do not make it in the first eye line of the bride because it just dips her energy. The door's open, she's all excited, and all she sees is the people not there. So the ushers are with me and we dress the house. We do keep a couple of seats that are empty if they're empty for latecomers because we're going to assume they're going to turn up, but we don't want them to be in sight. So it might be we just work with the venue and we work with the ushers and we let them know. And I do keep an usher, if you've got spare, at the back to secret squirrel the latecomers in. Depending on the vibe, we could do a whole walk of shame and they could sneak in. I'd be like, oh, there she is. And sometimes we've done that and we haven't done it as a walk of shame. We've done it as a, oh my God, you made it. Because we have had people fly in from Australia. They missed the connection. The flight was cancelled. There was snow on the runway because they changed it somewhere. And they were literally like, it's taken me 2.5 days to get here. And they made it and they came in. And I said to the bride, if they make it, do you want to know? And she was like, 100%. So I saw one of the ushers just kind of do that to me. And we were just at a place. And so I sort of finished the bit I was on. And then it was like, and I'm delighted to let you know that so-and-so and so-and-so is here. And we just made a bit of a big thing of that. Obviously, she was slightly mortified as the lady that was late. But with the way that I did it and the beam on the bride's face, it was just so lovely. And she ended up, I was going to cry. Oh, it's totally got me. She ended up running down the aisle and giving her a massive cuddle. And we just sort of slightly spun the ceremony a bit to really show that why everyone is here, why you've been invited, why you've shown up, because you care, because you're important to the couple, because they are important to you. And she literally spent like 2.5 days getting there and she came and it was amazing. Oh God, that was like 4 years ago. It still gets me. Anyway, and that couldn't have happened if the ushers weren't on board. She would have snuck it in the back. We wouldn't have known. It wouldn't have been as a huge love story of friendship as well as the wedding. It was brilliant. And so a big shout out to the ushers. When you're on board and you're doing your thing, you can get this 4 years on still. Oh, such a sloppy date. So, if you were thinking, oh, I might be asked to be best man, and then you think, oh, I'm only an usher, some people are like, I'm only an usher, not a groomsman, not a best man. You're like, oh my God, you are the lifesavers of the show, of the wedding, of the production, of the energy, if something like that happens. And your aim is, if people are late and you sneak them in because it doesn't need to be a thing and they don't want to walk of shame or a big deal, they just took forever parking or just didn't leave enough time, sneak them in. But it keeps everything in the right energy and in the right place and about the couple and about love, however that love comes across, because it might be that someone comes in. We've also had a lovely one where the uncle of the groom had a stroke and had been sort of practicing to come in because actually the venue wasn't particularly accessible. And he didn't want to try and use a frame. Anyway, and again, the ushers are there for the guests. And an usher walked in, the uncle, and you could see the groom just like, I'm so glad he made it. And he wouldn't have been able to do it on his own because he needed someone to walk up with him. But he lived alone. He didn't have any kids. He didn't have a wife. He was on his own. And so actually the role of the usher there was really important because it enabled the wedding to happen. And people have a wedding because they want to stand up in front of their friends and family and declare their love. That's the whole point of a wedding. If you just want to get married, don't have the wedding. The wedding is the witnessing of the union and a fantastic reason to get everyone together. Which is why I love a wedding, because as you can tell, I'm a complete soppy date. So, groom, you turn up, you say yes, you have a great day, best day of your life so far. Best man, you're there to make sure that that happens. Groomsman, you belong to the best man, you run around, you do whatever needs to be done. Ushers, you belong to the guests to make sure that the reason we're having a wedding and haven't eloped and nipped off and not done it is to make sure that everyone can come together because the couple have invited them because they are that important to them. So we want to make sure that all the guests feel valued. The couple know that the guests are looked after because all the ushers have them, and the ushers know that they are enabling the very thing that is about, which is the coming together to celebrate love. Right. I'm going to go and have a cup of chamomile tea now because I've got very overexcited. So, hope that's helpful. Spread the love, pass on, let me know, write some comments. If you've got any stories about that didn't happen at my wedding, or that was amazing, that was so helpful, thank you so much. Let me know. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.